Hi, my name is Kathryn Obenshain. I am the Satellite Garden Manager here at Edible Campus. And today I am going to be sharing a recipe with you for lemon shortbread with herbal accents. I really like this recipe because it allows us to explore the sweet side of herbs. Typically people use herbs in savory ways, but you can use them in all sorts of things, like sorbets or teas. Those are things you might be familiar with herbs being used in. So these cookies are really fun too because they're quite artistic, as the herbs sit on the face of the cookies, on the front of the cookie. And you can get as creative with them as you please, or as simplistic with them as you please. So let's get started. So now we're going to gather our herbs. See, this is my lovely mint plant, so I'm just going to trim off a few leaves to put on top of the cookies as we bake them for our herb cookies. Alright, we have our mint. Let's go get some rosemary. Macchiato. Hi. Now we just want a few sprigs. Not a whole lot, because remember, we're just decorating cookies. Our collection of herbs is steadily growing. We're going to grab some basil, which will be great for the tops of our cookies, very decorative. We're going to grab primarily the smaller leaves because of the size of the cookies. We don't want to overtake them, we just want to accent them. Last, but certainly not least, we're going to grab some sage for the tops of our cookies as well. And just like the basil, we're going to grab the smaller leaves because, again, we don't want to overtake the cookies, and the smaller leaves will just look better. So we're going to grab not these huge broadleaf ones, but rather these smaller ones right in here. There we are, for the tops of the cookies. Alright, we've collected all our herbs. Now we're going to go inside and start making our dough so that we can get these cookies going. Now that you have your herbs inside, the next step is washing your herbs, make sure they're pretty clean, getting the smaller leaves, and laying them out on a paper towel or something so that they can get a bit more dry before you use them for your cookies, because you don't want them to be too wet or nothing will bake as well as it could. So in order to give your cookies the best chance, you have to make sure your herbs are as dry as can be. Alright, so now for the fun part, actually making our cookies. I mean, in my opinion, the fun part was picking the herbs, but the tasty part, let's say. So for your cookies, you need 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of butter. You can also use vegan butter. You can also use gluten-free flour. 2 tablespoons of lemon zest. It's a little more, but I like my cookies lemony. You need your herbs, obviously. 1 teaspoon of, this is a mixture of 1 teaspoon lemon juice and 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. And you need a pinch of salt and 3/4 cup powdered sugar. You can chop up your herbs and add them to your cookies, but just because I don't like my things too herbal, I'm going to skip that step today. But if you want to, you can take any kind of herbs you'd like this rosemary here, strip it from the stem right here, chop it up and add it in, and you would need about 2 tablespoons or 3 tablespoons of chopped herbs to get that real big herbal flavor that you might want. So let's move on to cooking. So our first step is to combine the lemon zest. Okay, come on. There we go. And the salt. And if we were adding herbs, we'd add the herbs at this point. So then you whisk it up until it's pretty well combined. That's pretty good. You can see there's not a huge amount of chunks. The lemon zest is pretty evenly distributed. In fact, you can't see it anymore because it's covered in the flour, but it's in there. Oh, there's a little bit. Then next, we're going to combine the butter and the vanilla extract and the lemon with the sugar. So really important, you want your butter to be room temperature to make it the best it can be. Alright, now that you combine the sugar, the lemon juice, and the vanilla, the next step is to combine these two. Now that your dough is combined, we're going to take it out of the bowl and shape it into a ball and cover it with plastic wrap and let it chill for an hour before we take it out of the fridge and shape it into a log to cut our cookies. Alright, time to wrap this up and let it chill in the fridge for just about an hour or until it's firm. It's been an hour and now our dough is ready to be shaped into a log so that we can cut it into probably 1-2 inch rounds. As you can see, it's very stiff to the touch. It doesn't squish out too much, but it doesn't bounce back either, so we know it's ready to be shaped. Once you roll your dough, it's time to cut it. If you would like, after you roll your dough, you can roll your dough back up into your plastic wrap and put it back in the fridge so that it's a little easier to cut. That's what I did. But you can also just roll it and then cut it. When you're cutting it, you want to cut it so that it's about 1/2 inch thick, so that it's not too thick and it doesn't spread out too much when it bakes, but you want it to be a good cookie thickness. So we're going to go ahead and cut. Looks like, oh yeah, that's a wonderful shape and size. It's good thickness. So the next task is to cut both of these rolls up about the same size and thickness. Now that they've been cut, the remaining task is to take them, round them off a little bit, however that might be, however you want to do that. I like to roll it like this, but you can just kind of shape it and then add it to your cookie sheet. You want to space them out a little bit in case they spread out. They may or may not. We'll see how they behave today. But yeah, have about 1 inch around them just so that they have some distance to spread. Now for the herbs. Once you've put your cookies on your baking sheet, you can add your herbs. I'm still experimenting though with whether it's better to put the herbs on before they bake or after they bake. So we're going to put herbs on 1/2 of the cookies today so that we can experiment or find out if it's better to put the fresh herbs on before they bake or after they bake. Alright, and now we'll bake our cookies for 10 to 12 minutes until they're lightly brown. And finally, here's our product. They came out pretty well. They taste very nice. It turns out that it's best to put on your herbs before baking because you can't put them on after baking. But for the most part, these are wonderful and they're quite soft. Break this one. They have a nice soft texture and consistency. They break apart easily. It's like a very nice soft shortbread. So if you make these, let us know and enjoy.